I just want to give you a personal invitation to maybe start something new this year in 2022. Maybe Celebrate Recovery is something you could start checking out. Every Monday night, 6 to 8, we meet every single Monday, no matter what's going on, rain, shine, tidal wave, bank holiday. We'll be there Monday nights, so come join us, check it out. It's for anyone who struggles with anything. That's all of us, right? So you're all qualified to come check it out. So I was given the task to start the new year, and the sermons around this time of year, you could probably guess, have to do with, setting a new goal for the new year, resolutions, that kind of thing. But the problem is I have a little bit of a love-hate relationship with goals, a little emphasis on the hate part. I struggle with it, and maybe you're like me. Maybe you also struggle with it. Here's why I have a problem. I know goals are important. Goals are very, very needed. But I do one of two things. I either go way too high and I set this goal that is like unreachable, and then when I inevitably don't reach it, I feel like a failure and I internalize it, and that's not good. Or I just go too low and I make the goal and I'm like, wow, that was great. That did nothing, right? And that's kind of one of the two things. And so the problem is I need to be better at making goals. It's not that goals are a problem. It's that how I set them are not always where they need to be. So I'll give you a living parable of this from my own life. So years ago, I had this desire to read the Bible in 1 year. I thought as a pastor, I need to do that or else I'm a fraud, so I need to read the Bible more, right? So I decided I'd read it in 1 year, so I went to the Bible app as one does, and I searched for reading plans. Bible in 1 year was my keyword. Sure enough, there's one exactly called that, Bible in 1 year. So I downloaded it. I was motivated. I was excited. I got 3 days in, right on track, amazing. You read a proverb or a psalm, an Old Testament passage, a New Testament passage, and a devotional that ties them all together. Every single day. It was amazing. I get 7 days in, start to trail back a little bit. You fast forward to the end of the year. I got 51 days into a 365-day reading plan. And I thought, I can look at this one of two ways. I can just own the failure and feel like a failure, or year 2, I start at day 52. And I had a 51-day head start on next year's 365 days. So that's what I chose to do. So again, started off well, tracking for a while, falling off for a while. I get to the end of the 365 days of year 2. Now I'm up to day 161. Made some damage. I got over 100 days in year 2, but I still felt a little bit like, man, why can't I do this? What's wrong with me? Kind of thing, right? So again, year 3, I'm starting at day 162 now. I completed it. I got all the way through. So I read the Bible in 1 year, in 3 years. And so I could have been like, you didn't meet your goal, your failure, it took you way too long, you couldn't track, you couldn't hack it. Or I could look at the fact that I read God's word and it made an impact on my life. So this is the living parable I want us to look at when we look at our goals, right? We can let our goals own us, or we can be the one with God's help guiding these goals and guiding where God's taken us in our life. So that's kind of the difference, right? If you let your failure kind of shut you down, then you're never going to accomplish these things that you are in your life. And so it starts with a dream. Dreaming is kind of where it starts. So dreams and goals, they have this interesting relationship between the two of them. Dreams exist in your mind. It's where it starts. It's where the creativity gets moving and percolating. You start to think of things you can do for your life. Maybe it's a job dream. Maybe it's a travel dream. Maybe it's a reading the Bible dream. Whatever it is, it starts as a dream. This exists in your mind. You get amped up. You get excited. You get motivated. And then it needs to become a goal. Now, you can't spell goal without go. So go is talking about the action that needs to happen with that goal. So dreams and goals have this really unique interaction and personality where they exchange off of each other. So if you've been in the business world or somewhere where you've talked a lot about goals, you know this acronym well. It's called SMART. Our goals need to be SMART goals. And I think the thing with goals and dreams, it's okay to dream big. Let me say that first. And it's okay to goal big. But your goals need to be smart. The S in SMART, this acronym that we're going to use today, is specific. Specific. What is the goal that you want to accomplish? It needs to be specific, not too vague, not too nebulous. If you don't kind of drill down on something specific, you'll get lost in the process a little bit. Secondly, it needs to be measurable. You need to have a way to kind of guide how you're doing. The Bible app's awesome like that. If your goal is to read the Bible, it measures it for you well, right? Maybe a little too well for me that year. But the A then is attainable. Is this goal that you're setting out for yourself attainable in the amount of time you've given yourself? Is it actually something that can be accomplished, or is it going to be so lofty that, like I said before, you feel a little bit like you can't measure up? And the R is realistic or relevant. Is this really keeping you where you need to be as far as the goal goes? Does it keep you on the path that you hope to be on? And is there a timetable where it's all tied together? It's timely. It needs to have a start date and an end date so you can keep track of it. So that's kind of what goals are. You've heard that before. And there's this exchange with dreams and goals. The dreams need to fuel the goals, and the goals need to turn to action and need to move you forward. I met this girl a couple years ago named Emily. And Emily is a dreamer. When I met her, she's a normal 15-year-old girl at Perry High, loved to play soccer, loved to be active, to paint, and to sing. Her number one dream was to change the world with her voice, and was to sing and affect people's lives with how she did that. So on her 15th birthday, Emily started getting these headaches. And those headaches got worse and worse until it wound up that she had a stroke and had to be rushed to the hospital. And as she was there was bleeding on her brain, and she slipped into a coma. And now the goal was just for Emily to wake up. The dreams maybe took a backseat for the moment, but her goal was just to come out of this coma. The doctors and nurses were getting to the point where they weren't sure. They weren't sure she was going to make it. The parents, however, were not losing hope. They were determined. And in the middle of COVID, they had to rotate which parent could be by her bedside. They couldn't even both be there together. And so as she sat in her bed, her mom played a YouTube video of her singing. And Emily woke up. Her eyes opened. She started to come out of the coma, and it was her own singing voice that brought her out. Now, sometimes we think of miracles as this all right, where's my miracle, God? Boom, there it is, life is great. But sometimes miracles are a process. And truth be told, Emily is still in her miracle process as we speak. And she had to relearn everything. She had to relearn how to walk, how to talk, how to eat, how to function. And she's still coming back online with parts of her brain, and her brain is still healing as we speak. But I talked to her recently. She still has the same dream to have a voice that changes the world. You see, because of the stroke, she talks a little bit different right now than she did. But she's still holding on to hope of that dream that voice will come back and that she'll change the world with it. She's one of the greatest dreamers that I know, and I consider a friend. And so do you dream big like that? Do you even dream through the struggle, through the hardship, through the times where it seems, maybe this dream isn't going to happen? Do you hold on to that determination and that hope to keep moving, even when things are hard? I think it can be difficult to dream big like this, but it's important as well. And so here's our main idea today that we're going to kind of launch from. As we start a brand new year, I want to invite you to set goals in different categories and areas of your life, but also to dream. Dream big and also dream small. I'll explain that later. But may the peace of God be the rhythm and the tempo that drives you every single day of this year. So I think sometimes it's hard to even know where to start when it comes to things like setting a goal. And I think even before you start to set those goals, I think it's important to realign yourself with the things of God. I think if we realign ourselves with what God wants, that we're starting off on the right foot. Matthew 6:33 says it this way. But seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. What do you do first? You seek God. You seek his kingdom. You seek the righteous things of God. You seek to align your life with his heart. And that's where you start. And then the second piece you have to do is invite him into your entire goal process. A lot of us, especially if you've been setting goals for years and years, you got this down. You know how to pick your word for the year. You know how to look at your life and see what you can adjust. But I wonder if you have invited God into the process of setting those goals. Praying over those goals once they're set. Making sure that it's not just your goal, but it's also God's goal as well. Proverbs 16:3 says it this way: if you commit to the Lord whatever you do, he will establish your plans. So your plans, they could be really good. God's plans, probably even better. You need those two to collide, and then your path will be straight. So our main passage today is going to be Philippians 3. And I love the book of Philippians because the Apostle Paul, by the way, one of the most determined and driven people, I think, in Scripture. The way this guy lived in not only his own life, but encouraged other people is unprecedented. And so I think he's writing this letter to this church in the town of Philippi, his friends at this town of Philippi. He himself is in jail. He's in chains. I think if I was in jail, if I was in chains, I wouldn't necessarily be thinking about how other people can drive forward. I would be just commiserating and wanting out of the chains. But Paul, that's just the guy he was. He was thinking about how to encourage these people. And he was reminding them that even he has goals. And even those goals hadn't yet been accomplished. He says this: not that I've already obtained the goal or have already arrived, but I press on to take hold of that for which Christ Jesus took hold of me. Brothers and sisters, I don't consider myself yet to have taken hold of it. But one thing I do, I love this part, forgetting what is behind and straining towards what is ahead, I press on toward the goal to win the prize for which Christ has called me. Forgetting what is behind. This is an amazing reminder because I think some of us the last year, maybe the last 2 years, has been really rough. A lot of pain, a lot of hurt, a lot of tragedy. And I think there are years when January 1 rolls around and we just need to kind of flush that previous year. We got to move forward. And this idea of forgetting what is behind, I find it freeing. Because you're not forgetting the lessons learned. You're definitely not forgetting the memories that have been logged and stored. You're forgetting the things that can hold us back. You're forgetting the shame. You're forgetting the sting of the failure. You're forgetting the pain of loss and tragedy. You're forgetting the fear that's maybe kept you stuck and from moving on in your life. That's what we need to forget. And maybe there's things, disappointment that you've lived through in the last year that just has left a bitter taste in your mouth. And disappointments can come in all shapes and sizes. It can be things like being disappointed that you didn't get that job that you thought for sure you had, that you nailed the interview for, right? Or the promotion that you thought was yours, didn't get it. The recognition fell to the wayside. Someone else got it. Or maybe it's a tragedy, like I said before. Maybe there's a loss and that hurts. And it's hard to move forward because it's so in your face all the time. Or maybe it's the sting of a relationship that's gone sour or has been bent or perhaps broken. How do you move forward from that? There's a lot of things that can carry with us into the next year. And I think Paul reminds us there needs to be to a level where we forget what is behind. And then we strive or we strain towards what is ahead. The thing about goals that I think is so valuable is goals, again, there's action attached to it. They need to propel us forward. If a goal propels us into the next challenge or the next stage of life, it can drive us and grow us. And so we strive forward. We strive towards what is ahead. We press on. I love this phrase, press on. I think of the word determination. And maybe you're like this. Maybe you know someone like this. Do you know somebody who just seems to have a superhuman ability to be determined? They could just fight through anything. They could fight through challenges. They don't let people that criticize them or hate on them stop them or slow them down. They don't let their own failures or trip-ups even get in their way. They fix their gaze on what they're going for, and they don't let anything stop them. I'm not built that way. At least I don't feel like I am, but I think maybe you're like me, like, man, I'm not a very determined person. It doesn't take much for me to change course. That's a little bit where I land. But here's the thing, because we have God guiding us and we have Christ with us, and he promises to never leave us or forsake us, so we know he's on this journey with us, he can give us a determination to fight through challenges, to keep going after amazing, life-shattering personal loss or struggle. God can give us the strength to move forward, and he goes before us, and he goes with us, and his promises lie ahead. So toward the goal, what is the goal? I think the goal is a lot of things, but one of them are these promises of God and the fulfillment of them. That is the goal, to live and to see the fulfillment of his promises. Here are just a few that come to my mind. He promises to never leave you or forsake you. He promises to have a plan for you, a good plan to prosper you, not to harm you, to give you hope in the future. The goal lies ahead. The prize lies ahead. And so we keep going. We move forward towards it. Determination is a mental game. And so invite God in to help give you strength when you feel like giving up and tapping out, to keep going. He can give you that strength. So for me, I like to get practical. I like to kind of drill down a little bit. And so let's look at some categories that you might be looking at to start some 2022 goals for yourself. Again, remember that acronym. They need to be SMART. You can drill down on that later. And so maybe just write down some of these categories for now so you can look at them. And these are definitely not all of the categories that exist in your life, just a few to get you going. So maybe one category is spiritual goals. What are some spiritual goals that you might have in 2022? It's still weird to say 2022. I'm getting used to it. Definitely like all the twos. That's kind of fun. But for me, here's one. Again, my illustration from the beginning, reading the Bible. That could be your spiritual goal this year. That might be really good. And so maybe you do want to read the Bible in 1 year. I talked it up so well. Maybe you're in. That's good. Maybe it's just getting familiar with your Bible. That's a good goal. Read the Gospels. Get to know Jesus. Get to know his story, his teachings, his miracles, the way he interacted with others. Like, really dive into that this year. Just read the Gospels on repeat if you need to. I love the book of Proverbs because there's 31 chapters, and most months have 31 days. And so you could just do a proverb a day to get you going as well. Or prayer. Maybe prayer is it for you. You want to pray more. It's amazing. It might start with finding a place to pray, a prayer closet in your house, or even just outside on the porch with a cup of coffee, or in your car on your commute. That 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, hour and a half, whatever you have of a commute, what if you make that time sacred time? You give it to God. We live in an amazing age where everyone's phone is synced up to their car. So when you're moving your mouth and talking out in your car, the people next to you don't have to know you're talking to God. You could be on the phone for all they know, right? So make that time, your time with God. In any way, you can have the Bible app read scripture over you on your commute. That's something I tried to do in those 3 years I read the Bible in 1 year. Another category is a mental health goal. What are some mental health goals you might have for this year? Is this the year you're going to finally go talk to somebody? Finally work through those issues that happened to you all those years ago? See a counselor or a psychiatrist or someone just that can help you work through those knots that you have that are plaguing you, that are keeping you from your fullness. Maybe it's the year you're going to journal and keep a personal journal so that you can unpack some emotions that get a little bit stuck. Or is this the year that you're going to take that addiction that's plagued you for far too long, take it by the neck, and accomplish it and break those chains? I think when it comes to the world of working through addiction or struggles, the thing we're really searching for is peace. Peace is what we long for and lack and what we're not getting from that addiction that we're stuck on. And serenity is another word I love that kind of paints this picture of still and calm, when inside nothing feels still and calm. AA has made the serenity prayer fairly famous. But the AA version of the serenity prayer is like the first sentence of a paragraph. That's this beautiful prayer, and I want to share it with you today. Maybe you've never heard the full serenity prayer. Here's how it reads. It says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardship as a pathway to peace, taking, as Jesus did, the sinful world as it is, not as I would have it, trusting that you will make all things right if I surrender to your will, so that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with you forever in the next. Amen. We read that every Monday at CR, and I think after 2 years, I almost have it memorized. But it's such an amazing reminder that serenity that we seek has to come from God, and it has to come from surrender. Because by letting go of that stranglehold of control that you have on your life and giving that to God, you've got a better grip than you've ever had in your life with God at the reins. By letting go of that need to always have the answer, to always have the control, you can move forward and the future can be brighter. So the next category is relational goals. And again, this is any relationship. I want you to think of one person in your life that you're in relationship with. This could be your mom, your dad, your significant other, your child, your aunt, your best friend, your neighbor, anybody, coworker. What's one relationship that maybe needs a little bit more work? Some intentionality, perhaps an apology. If you're waiting for them to apologize, that's probably not the best way to do it. Make the first move. Trust me, it'll be good. But what are some relational goals? Put some skin around that for you. What can you do to take some steps forward in those relationships that are on your mind right now, your heart? It could be a Saturday morning coffee date. Who's going to sit across from you? Maybe it's your spouse. Maybe it's that friend that you've been meaning to connect with. Maybe it's your neighbor. Make some time, carve out time for relationships. Maybe make a time in your week where you pick up the phone and call someone that's been on your mind. You want to check in on, make sure they're okay, make sure they're doing all right. One of the greatest parts about this room is you can see faces, not just backs of heads. And so a lot of times I'll sit and I'll just pray that God will bring my eyes to somebody that I need to go check in on. It's just the beauty of this room. We can see faces of people. And so that's one thing I try to do. And then, all right, I need to go get coffee with them next week once I've seen their eyes. And that's how God shows me who I need to connect with. Another category, this is probably two categories. I'm combining them for sake of time here. Physical and personal goals. What are some physical goals you have? This is some of your classic get in shape, get fit, lose some weight, eat right. Those kind of things would fit in this category for sure. And again, make sure it's smart. Make sure it's specific, measurable, not too lofty. I'm going to lose 100 pounds in a week. Probably not attainable, okay? And healthy, really. That's not good at all. But have something that you can reach. And I want to give you freedom to restructure your goals as you go here. If you get a month in, you're like, that's not going to happen. All right, restructure. Don't give up on the year. You got this, you know? And so that's just your physical goal. But there's also personal goals you can set. Maybe you want to read more. Pick up some books from our coffee shop or go on Amazon and read some Christian living books that can strengthen you and strengthen your ability to really all these other categories, your spiritual, your relational, all of this. Listen to more sermons online or podcasts. Not just true crime podcasts. I know those are fun, but maybe some ones that can then strengthen you in your day-to-day as well, from other voices of people that are further down the road in their faith or their walk or meant to encourage you as well. So those are some goals, some categories, just a few, 4 or 5 for you to kind of get started. But one of the things I like to do is I like to let those categories kind of cross each other and do a couple of them at one time. For example, if you want to get in shape, you want to go for a run, you can have a book playing on Audible in your what are those things called? Your headphones. I, for years, was just so frustrated that I couldn't read a book. Because every time I'd sit down to read a book, I'd have a kid jump on me. I have children, by the way. It's not some random kid. But should have led with that. So I'm like, again, kind of like the Bible thing. Like, man, I'm getting really frustrated. What's going on here? But I found a way to get there. Like when I go for my morning run, I can listen to Audible. And I grew up listening to books on tape all the time, so it's like second nature to me. And so I've listened to more books in the last 3 years than I've probably read in the last 10. And it's just because I found a way to get around that boulder in my path and to make some intentionality to grow and to go forward. So mix and match them, you know? If you want to read your Bible more, that's a goal of yours, but you also want to connect with your friend down the street, see if he'll do a challenge with you, and you can both read your Bible more, and then you have something to talk about when you get coffee. So feel free to combine these and to really let God be a part and at the center of every single one of these potential goals that you have. Pray over them before they even make pen to paper. Pray over them. Give them to God. If they're God's also, the path will be straight. As I said before, I want to free you up to be a dreamer. Dream big. It's where it starts. It's where it needs to get some traction. You dream big, have a big, audacious goal, but also dream small. You need both big dreams and you need specific, intentional little dreams. I was in a coffee shop this week trying to figure out, write the sermon, try to figure out a way to land the plane, so to speak. And I thought, man, God, I need an illustration. I need something. And I had my headphones in, listening to Spotify, just on a random playlist I'd never listened to before. And this song by a Christian artist named Josh Wilson came on. And the title was not super inspiring, Dream Small. But when you get into the lyrics, I was knocked away by how perfect this is and a reminder as we go into a new year. It says this, dream small. This is the chorus. Don't buy the lie that you've got to do it all. Just let Jesus use you where you are. One day at a time, live well, loving God and others as yourself. Find little ways where only you can help. With his great love, a tiny rock can make a giant fall. Dream small. I want to encourage you to do that, to dream small, to be intentional with the one that God gives you, the one you're with right now, the one that God has placed in front of you. Be intentional with those moments that you have. Don't ever underestimate the power of an encouraging word, an intentional conversation, a warm embrace, eye contact, and a smile. It goes an amazingly long way. And ultimately, this is 1 year in all the years you get on this earth. And ultimately, our goal is to keep building on that, to grow closer to him. And my heart is to one day hear those words. Well done. Well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful with the little, the small. Here's much. That's my prayer for each of us.